Good afternoon. It's Wednesday, the 17th of March 2021, just after 1 o'clock. Welcome to UK Column News. Your host today, Mike Robinson, myself, Brian Gerrish, and we're delighted to be joined by Alex Thompson, bringing us Eastern approaches from the Netherlands. A chick.
Yes, a chick indeed. What are we? Are we sheep or are we chickens? We're going to be asking this question. Now, we've been dropping hints over the last number of weeks and months about what might be going on here. I'm going to put a suggestion in front of everybody, and we can discuss it and see what the truth might be. So I'm asking today: is COVID-19 Marek's disease for humans? I want to say thank you very much to our viewer who pushed this through to us and just this final piece of the puzzle here. But what is Marek's disease? Well, it's a highly contagious viral disease in chickens. It's been around since, well, for quite a long time. It's named after Josef Marek, a Hungarian vet. The chicks are vaccinated. They're vaccinated 1 day old. But here's the point: the vaccine that's used is what's described as a leaky vaccine. So what is a leaky vaccine? Only the symptoms of the disease are prevented. Infection of the host is not prevented, and transmission of the virus is not prevented by a leaky vaccine. Now, everybody should immediately recognize that all the COVID-19 vaccines are leaky. Now, why is this important? Well, let's have a look at what happened to the chicks with Marek's disease. The first vaccine was delivered in 1970. And then what happened was that there was vaccine immunity escape of highly infectious strains. And as the vaccine program progressed, the infectiousness of the strains of the virus became much more powerful, much stronger. In the end, infectiousness increased to the point that any unvaccinated chicken dies. Now, I want to remind everybody about Geert van den Bosch, who we talked about on the programme last week. Now, there's been quite a bit of criticism of this man since he came out and made his comments, his open letter and his video clip. And there's perhaps some justification to that criticism because he is a vaccine man. He has worked with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and so on. But the key thing here, I think, is we got to listen to what he says and put it in the context of this. The key question he was asking, why does nobody seem to bother about viral immune escape? Now, this is an issue that has been discussed in the mainstream press. Even the BBC has discussed it. They have downplayed it, and they have basically dropped it from their narrative at this point in time. Van den Bosch went on to say, from all of the above, it's becoming increasingly difficult to imagine how the consequences of the extensive and erroneous human intervention in this pandemic are not going to wipe out large parts of our human population. He said one could only think of very few other strategies to achieve the same level of efficiency in turning a relatively harmless virus into a bioweapon of mass destruction. Now, are we seeing the same type of thing that happened with Marek's disease in chickens and the vaccination program following that with COVID-19? Well, indeed we are, as we've been highlighting for a number of weeks. We've got more variants coming. We've got variants of concern as the trademark goes, and you've got to remember that lockdown will only be listed if the government's assessment of the risks is not fundamentally changed by new variants of concern trademark, their capital V, their capital C. So let's also remember that we now have 8 variants on the watch list, 4 variants of concern and 4 variants under investigation. Are these new variants? Geert van den Bosch very much suggesting that these new variants are behaving differently to what's normal and that immune escape as a result of the vaccination program is the likely explanation for it. But then we've got to remember, as we've made the point many times in this program over the last several months, the new variants of concern coming from the UK, coming from South Africa, coming from Brazil, and the fact is that the AstraZeneca vaccine was trialled in the UK, South Africa and Brazil. So are the new variants of concern immune escape as a result of those trials? That's the question that has to be asked. And just by coincidence today, we've now got more suggestion that this is the direction of travel. Brazil vaccine-resistant supervirus will develop alert as research finds terrifying truth, says the Express. Of course, the Express presenting this with a fear-based headline, but nonetheless, this is what I think is going on here. This is the end game. COVID-19 vaccination program is designed to create asymptomatic spreaders who become factories of ever-increasingly virulent strains with the aim of killing anyone who remains unvaccinated. Now, we've got to consider the implications of this. Just think about it. If the only option for survival is a vaccine and the availability of the vaccine is controlled by corporates or governments, then we're literal slaves to the system. Consider what happens if the vaccine availability, for example, is linked to social credit score. It becomes a situation of total control. So I'm going to say that when Boris Johnson claims that we are on a one-way road to freedom, actually we have to take the 180-degree meaning to that, because we can assume that Boris Johnson is lying. We are on a one-way road to slavery if we accept the vaccines as they stand at the moment. These are leaky vaccines, and we are on a pretty serious path.